What if the mind does not show us reality as it is, but only what it thinks we need to survive? Neuroscience increasingly suggests that perception is not a window, but a filter. Most of what exists may be actively suppressed by the brain to maintain stability, identity, and function. This raises a disturbing possibility. Altered states do not create new realities, they reveal what was already there. One molecule has forced scientists, psychologists, and philosophers to confront this idea directly. It is not rare, it is not foreign, it exists inside the human body. Its name is DMT, and its implications challenge how we define consciousness itself. DMT, or N-dimethyltryptamine, is a naturally occurring compound classified as a tryptamine. Structurally, it closely resembles serotonin and melatonin chemicals deeply involved in mood, sleep, perception, and cognition. This similarity is not incidental. It explains why DMT interacts so powerfully with the systems that shape conscious experience. Unlike most psychoactive substances, DMT is found across nature in plants, animals, and humans. Its presence in the body alone forces a critical question. If the brain produces it naturally, then its effects may reflect latent capacities of the mind, not artificial distortions. Long before modern science isolated DMT, indigenous cultures encountered its effects through plant-based traditions. Anthropologists documented these practices not as recreational behavior, but as structured ceremonial systems tied to meaning, healing, and cosmology. These observations later prompted scientific curiosity. In the 1930s, chemists synthesized DMT in laboratories. By the mid-20th century, researchers identified it in mammals. In the 1970s, trace amounts were detected in human tissues. At that moment, DMT shifted from cultural artifact to biological fact. Interest in DMT surged in the 1990s, when controlled research resumed after decades of restriction. Clinical studies began documenting consistent psychological patterns across subjects regardless of belief, background, or expectation. This consistency demanded explanation. As neuroscience advanced, DMT became relevant to larger questions: how the brain constructs reality, why mystical experiences feel real, and whether consciousness is generated or filtered by the brain. Public interest followed, but science remained cautious. DMT primarily affects serotonin receptors, especially the 5-HT2A receptor, which plays a central role in perception and meaning-making. Activation of this receptor disrupts normal sensory hierarchy, allowing internally generated signals to dominate conscious awareness. Key brain networks are affected, including the default mode network, the system responsible for self-narrative and ego identity. When this network quiets, rigid boundaries between self and environment soften, creating a radically different mode of cognition. Importantly, the brain is not flooded with new information. Instead, filters are relaxed. The mind becomes less constrained, more associative, more symbolic. This supports the theory that consciousness is normally restricted for survival efficiency. Psychologically, DMT is associated with ego dissolution, not the loss of self, but the loss of rigid identity boundaries. Time perception alters. Thought becomes nonlinear. Symbolic imagery intensifies. These effects mirror deep dream states and advanced meditative absorption. These states demonstrate that the mind is capable of operating without its usual organizing structures. This does not imply truth or delusion, only that consciousness is more flexible than everyday awareness suggests. Scientific evidence confirms that DMT exists naturally in the human body, including in blood and cerebrospinal fluid. The function of endogenous DMT remains unknown, but its presence alone challenges the idea that it is merely an external disruptor. The pineal gland is often discussed due to its role in circadian rhythms and neurochemical regulation. While theories exist linking it to DMT production, science has not confirmed a definitive function. Speculation must remain separate from evidence. One theory proposes that the brain does not generate consciousness, but filters it similar to a radio tuning signal. When filters weaken, broader ranges of perception emerge. DMT offers a test case for this model without proving it. Predictive processing models suggest the brain constantly guesses reality. DMT may temporarily disable this predictive framework, allowing raw perception to surface. This reframes altered states as subtraction, not addition. Science does not confirm external entities, alternate dimensions, or universal truths accessed through DMT. Such interpretations arise from the human tendency to impose narrative meaning or unfamiliar internal experiences. Separating experience from explanation preserves credibility. The power of DMT lies not in extraordinary claims, but in what it reveals about perception, belief, and cognitive construction. Why this matters? DMT forces a profound question. How much of reality is actively filtered out by the mind? This has implications for psychology, mental health, and our understanding of human awareness itself. The molecule is not the message, consciousness is. DMT simply exposes how fragile, constructed, and selective our everyday experience truly is. Perhaps the most unsettling idea is not that the mind can experience more, but that it normally experiences so little. Understanding this may be another step towards understanding ourselves. If you made it this far, we thank you for watching, and for more content on inner work, consciousness, and esoteric teachings, like, comment, and subscribe.